Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm working on some lore videos, but I wanted to go ahead and put out a short video about the factions list that CA released, I believe it was 2 days ago now. So what I did was I went through and went through the little turn marker they showed, because rather than just giving us a factions list, they just released an image of the dwarves ending their turn and it going through all of the factions. So I took some time to sit down and I stopped the video enough times where I was able to catch every single faction, their name, and then I went through all my maps and I found out where all the factions are, and I'll tell you little tidbits about some of the more important ones that you might not be familiar with. And with that, we can go ahead and get started. Alright, let's start with the Greenskins. Each one of these circles represents the approximate area of one of the Greenskin tribes. And I'm just going to sort of pick a direction and go down the list. As for the colors, black circles are Night Goblin tribes, gray circles are Orc tribes, blue circles are Common Goblin tribes, green circles are Forest Goblin tribes, red circles are Savage Orc tribes. Though I did make one small mistake, the green circle up in the Grey Mountains of Bretonnian, which is the one on the very top left, that one should be gray. That's an Orc tribe. That is not a Forest Goblin tribe. There's only one Forest Goblin tribe, so pardon me for that mistake. So let's go ahead and get started with names. Starting at the very top right, in the black circle, is none other than the Red Eye tribe. This is a tribe of night goblins that owns Red Eye Mountain, which in the traditional fluff are the tribe that spend most of their time hanging out with Grimgor Ironhide, though for Total War Warhammer he has found his way down to the Badlands, though we don't know why yet, but that is a change they've made. So the Red Eye tribe will be interesting, as they are actually a crucial tribe to both the story of Grimgor Ironhide and Azhag the Slaughterer. They were the ones who gave Azhag his wyvern. The next black circle, straight down, further south in the mountains, so that middle one between the three, that is the Bloody Spears Night Goblin tribe. The tribe in white to the left of that is the Player faction, which we begin at Iron Rock. And that is the banner that they give for just where it says Greenskins when they're rotating through the factions, because it's the player faction. The banner they have appears to indicate the Bloody Sons tribe. I'm not 100% certain if they're actually having us be the Bloody Sons or if they just picked that particular image, because some of you may have noticed that's the gut plate / belt buckle image of that Grimgor Ironhide has. The big gray area is the ballpark area of the Red Fangs. This tribe is actually particularly it's one of the more powerful tribes in Orc literature, at least modern Orcs, and they are owned by Gorfang Rotgut, who is also known as the Squatter King, and he was the Orc that managed to sack Karak Azul. He managed to sneak into the throne room through some hidden passageways, kidnapped most of the royal family, killed a bunch of people, and he basically he shaved the king of Karak Azul's son and nailed him to the throne alive. And the king of Karak Azul did not take that very kindly. And Gorfang Rotgut is one of the most hated orcs against all the dwarves, and he was the one that in the canon lore at this time, when Total War Warhammer starts, he owns Iron Rock. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play off his tribe being in the area but not being the player faction. So I'm wondering if we're going to get to see him and have to fight him or negotiate with him. The next black circle directly below that's the very infamous Crooked Moon tribe, who owns notable portions of Karak Eight Peaks, and it's run by none other than the nefarious Skarsnik, the warlord of Karak Eight Peaks, a very, very clever goblin who's very specializes in ambushes and all sorts of stuff, and he's one of the major trio that competes for Karak Eight Peaks, though he owns the most of it. I really hope to see Skarsnik as a playable legendary lord at some point, and seeing as it seems having your faction in the game is a good place to start. Though the starting locations obviously cause some weird shenanigans with that. But that is where the Crooked Moon tribe hangs out. Crooked Moon Night Goblins. Alright, next let's go to the bottom left to that red circle. You can kind of see half of it down in the very south of the map. That is the Topknot's Savage Orc tribe, which is an extremely powerful, very rampage and nomadic heavy Savage Orc tribe. Going straight up to that gray circle, that is the Orcs of the Bloody Hand. Going to the right of them, to that red circle, that is the Skull Takers. Going to the top left of them, near that mountain range right there that contains Ekrend, we have the Teeth Snatchers, which is a goblin tribe. Just above them, kind of matching to that strait that goes, that cuts up and separates Tilia from the Badlands, is the Scabby Eye tribe. Then the small green circle covers that forest that's there, covered in the mountain. That's the Black Venom Forest Goblin tribe. To the south of them, that blue circle in the mountain range, that is the Broken Nose Goblin tribe. There in the mountains covering or separating most of Tilia. Just north of that, in that gray circle where the vaults meet the Gray Mountains, that is the Neck Snappers tribe. And then all the way up that green circle that's supposed to be gray, that covers the pass from the Empire to Bretonnia, that is the Skull Smashers tribe. And that pretty much wraps up the Greenskins. Let's move on to the next faction. Next, we have the Dwarves of the Karaz Angkor, or also known as the Everlasting Realm. Starting in the very top right, up in the tippy top near Norska, is the Norskan Dwarf Hold of Krakadrak, which I'm very happy to see as a living faction in this game. To the south of them, starting with the first hold of the more moderate World's Edge Mountains, so the top red circle on the right is Karak Kadrin, also known as the Slayer Keep. This is the home of King Ungrim Ironfist, the Slayer King. And although he is playable, it appears that we will still be playing as the Everpeak faction, which I'm curious how they're going to explain that from a fluff perspective, but I guess we'll wait and see. Practically right next to them, so to the bottom left of them, that is the Dwarf Hold of Zufbar, which if you have a copy of this map, which shows up as the first option when you type in like Total War Warhammer campaign map, you'll see that one's labeled as Zufbar, that little area. To the southeast of them, so the hold, not the hold on the river, but the one to the right of that one, is Karazakarak, also known as the Everpeak. That is the player faction and is the capital of the Dwarf Realm. Far to the south, that lonely little red circle in the very southeast corner of the map, that is Karakazul, which we talked a little bit about in the Greenskin portion. Here is where you would find the legendary dwarf runesmith Thoric Ironbrow, who is one of the Lord special characters for the dwarves. I hope to see him playable at some point, and that would be his home faction. The red circle that's right on that river that cuts into the Badlands, that is the gigantic dwarf port city of Balakvar. To the west of that little triangle, starting with the top right one, that is the dwarf hold of Karakern, and the Black Mountains. A little bit to the bottom one of that little triangle is Karak Izor, one of those two. And then the one in the top left of that little triangle, that is Karak Norn, which is the largest hold in that area. And maybe it's Karak Hirn, I always forget. But that's it. That's when the Gray Mountains start. And then the final red circle further up the Gray Mountains, cutting a bit into Bretonnia, and by the pass that allows connection between Bretonnia and the Empire, that is the dwarf hold of Karak Ziflin. And that pretty much does it for the dwarf holds. Of course, we'll talk more about them in detail. Dwarves are on my very near to-do list. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the next faction. For the next race, let's do Fair Bretonia. Starting at the very, very top is what I strongly believe will be the player faction. If not at release, then very quickly after release. It's labeled on the faction rotation thing that we see on the video they put out, the little Instagram video they put out, as Bretonia, just like the other player factions are just the racial name. It is actually the city/realm of Coron, which is where King Luan Leoncoeur reigns from. So I expect to see him in that area playable very, very quickly after release. Next, to the west on the coast is the Bretonnian city of Lyonesse, which I probably said that wrong, but I don't care right now. To its almost immediate east, within the forest of Arden, if I recall correctly, is Artois. Excuse me, the Forest of Chalons. That's the Forest of Chalons, not the Forest of Arden. Next, to the west of that, right on that river, is the Bretonnian city of Baston. To the south of that is the realm of Bordelou. And then to the west of that is the rather famous Bretonnian city of Paravon, which I'll be going over sooner than you may think. And then to the far south of the land of Bretonia is the city that backs up against those mountains, Carcassonne. And that pretty much does it for Bretonia, so we're on to the next race. Next up, we have the terrifying and dangerous vampire counts. Starting in the far west, in the fair land of Bretonia, the undead own the realm of Mousillon, which once was a very powerful, fair, and noble Bretonnian city, but it was corrupted by darkness and evil, always of a vampiric or undead sort. The vampire counts have a very strong grip on that part of Bretonia. It'll be interesting to see who owns that faction, and very well may be the Black Serpent Malobad, who is the bastard son of Luan Leoncoeur, and caused a civil war leading up to the end times. So it could very well be him that controls it, or just some blood knight or blood dragon or something. But it is a very notably dangerous realm that is packed to the brim with the dead. King Luan Leoncoeur has long sought to purge it and re-add it to his part, or re-add it to the Kingdom of Bretonia, because it's so far gone it's stopped having a duke. Heading way back to the east to the dark and cursed Sylvania is starting with the westernmost city of that little triangle, because the vampire counts do not get many zones. That is the castle/city of Schwarzhofen. Then to the immediate east of that, a little bit northeast of that, is Castle Tempelhof. And then that very southeast corner that tucks against the World's Edge Mountains is the player faction, which is labeled, of course, as just vampire counts, but that is the castle/city of Drakenhof, where Manfred von Karstein and the mysterious second legendary lord are making their stand. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the final groups. So I decided to go ahead and not bother with a human faction image, because all of the human nations are extremely easy to look up. You can literally just Google them, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on them. I'll be getting to my videos covering the Empire fairly soon. So I did go ahead and mark them on this map. So this is a complete map of the Total War Warhammer campaign map, marked with every single faction that was mentioned in that video and their approximate area. The yellow faction in the very top right is the Chaos Wastes, and the yellow represents the Army of Chaos, which of course was just faction labeled as just Chaos. I presume that's where they're starting. The two black areas are the approximate regions owned by the Norskins. The north side is probably going to be owned by the Vargs, and the south side will probably be owned by the Scalings. All of the blue areas are Dwarven holds. All of the green areas are Greenskin tribes. All of the red areas are Imperial factions, plus Marienburg, because it's thrown in with the other Imperial provinces, which for the Empire, every single province and then the city of Marienburg are factions. Reichland, of course, is the player faction. All of the pink areas are the faction realms of Bretonnia. All of the gray areas, gray-silver, are the unplayable human factions. So the secondary human factions, the very top one, the one in the very top right being Kislev, the one in the very bottom left being Estalia, then to the right of that is Tilia, and then to the right of that is the Border Princes. And then, last but not least, the white areas represent the vampire counts. So as you can see, this map is actually pretty crowded. In total, not including the Imperial Secessionists, which just appear to be the rebel faction that you'll see from time to time if things get ugly. There are 53 factions in this game, which is a pretty solid amount. So I'm really excited to play the games. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I know it's not a lot. I just wanted to get out a little information because some people messaged me. And so yeah, this is the full map. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to, blow it up and screen capture it and post it wherever you want to talk to other people and stuff like that. So let me know down in the comments what you think, any thoughts, all that stuff. Plenty of lore videos coming out soon. I'm staying very busy. I'm trying to get back to answering everyone's comments. I know there's a lot. In any event, I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I had a wonderful birthday, and it was loads of fun and all that stuff. Streaming, unfortunately, starting the Twitch channel had to back up because I thought I was going to get a microphone, but instead I got a lot of other goodies that are way better. I got almost essentially a completely brand new computer, which means once it's set up, I'll be able to do even more cool, fun things. So yeah, more on that later. I hope you guys are having a great day and have a great week, month, year, whatever. In any event, enjoy the Super Bowl if that's your thing. If not, you're like me, so go play video games instead and enjoy everyone leaving you alone. Have a great night, guys. Bye.